All pleasant good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to our many followers of LNTV, Liberia Live, and ELBC 99.9 FM. I am Sam calling and I'm broadcasting to you live at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. So today, today is September 11, 2025, and today is MICAT regular press briefing. So arriving and sitting of journalists was done by 11:30 a.m. this morning. Arriving and sitting of guests will be done by 12. So welcome statement will be done by Honorable Daniel Odesano, and he's the Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs here at MICAT. So today MICAT press briefing will jointly be addressed by Honorable Jallah Piah, Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Honorable James Jallah, Commissioner General at the Liberia Revenue Authority (LRA). Honorable Piah is expected to speak on key national issues with emphasis on the government's ongoing policies and programs, while Honorable Jallah will provide updates on the authority progress and reforms with focus on the following areas: the revenue collections and performance, latest trending, achievements and milestones, and the digital transformation, leveraging technology to enhance efficiency and service delivery, among others. Next will be questions and answers. So tune in to ELBC 99.9, www.elbcradio.com, Ablij online television in Green Bay County, Liberia Public Radio in the USA, and KMTV. You can also join us on the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism page, Facebook Live. So once again, I am Asiami Kone. Stick and stay with us. Don't go away watching regular coverage of MICAT regular press briefing.
That's two. Colleagues of the media, our esteemed guests, I'd like to welcome you to the refurbished Charles William Press Hall here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. as you are walking in the exterior and the interior of the ministry in undergoing a major. We sincerely apologize for the noise when you are walking in. When you want for the best to be done, sometimes it can be done in some other tune. This afternoon, to our television viewers, radio listeners, Facebook followers, and those of our colleagues from the community radio station who have joined us, we'd like to thank Pram Communication Network, Pram FM 105.5, that is relaying this press briefing. I'd like to invite the Deputy Spokesperson of the government, Honorable Daniel Sando, who will make a statement, after which he will officially invite the mayor who has the statutory responsibility to speak for the government. Honorable Daniel Sando, the national platform.
Lawrence family, the senior management team of the Ministry of Information, appreciates all the media institutions, including our own ELBC, for always being here, even as tight the schedule can be. They have made it the primary duty to give priority to the MICAT regular press briefing. And beyond ELBC, there are other community radio stations and commercial radio stations in Monrovia that they may fit to relay this press briefing because of the necessity of public information. So we are grateful for that. Today, press briefing is a very special one. We've been on this podium for the last 1 year, 7 months. And the folks you see here have been doing extremely well. Everything about the revenue of the country borders on the Liberia Revenue Authority, the LRA. So intermittently we have elevated update from the LRA, but they have never had the time, given how engaging their schedule is, to appear here in person and address the press briefing and take questions from all of you, the Fourth Estate. Today that is happening. The LRA is here. You see the Commissioner General is flanked by Honorable Montgomery, one of the commissioners at the LRA also. He's here with a team. He will make the proper introduction when he mounts the podium. So the LRA is here at MICAT today to talk revenue issues and among other things to say where the entity as the revenue host of the country is and where we are headed. So on behalf of the senior management team, we would like to welcome, I see Commissioner, boy, can you close the gap? I see Commissioner Sam Banda here also. We want to welcome all of you, members of the high table from the LRA. Welcome to the Ministry of Information. As you can see, even though MICAT is not one of the entities that collect big revenue for the government, we collect fees, tourism charges here for the government as well. But the little you have generated, the little you have allotted to us in the national budget is being used to give this place a life. And so, as Minister Gaffan would say, it's a justification for increment, right? But we're happy to have you here. So they will speak to you. You were here from the horse's mouth. And before they come, as always, the official spokesperson of the government, who is no other person but our distinguished minister, Honorable Jallah Matthew Piah, will clear the decks do some housekeeping. There are some important news that he will give to you. And then after that, he will invite the Commissioner General, Honorable Double Jallah, to the microphone. With that being said, I would now want to request your undivided attention. Please place all your gadgets on silent as I invite the mouthpiece of the Liberian government to the microphone.
Good afternoon to all of you members of the press, and welcome again to the Charles Bayon Press Hall for our regular press briefing. I'd like to, in a special way, welcome Commissioner General Jallah and his team, who will be speaking to you immediately after I have concluded. This is the Commissioner General's first appearance at the MICAT press briefing. Like Daniel said, we have always lifted news from the sector, but this time you have the opportunity to hear directly from them on the issues they've come to talk about. And so that makes today's press briefing a very important one. I'd like to start with an issue that may be causing some scare among the population, so that we clear that. And that is to say, there is no Ebola in Liberia. There was a vessel that came to Liberia. A Turkish national on that vessel was unwell. He eventually died. There was suspicion that his situation could have been Ebola related. But the National Public Health Institute has announced that all the specimens tested at its National Reference Laboratory returned negative in terms of the Ebola virus. The MPhil says, as at September 10, 2025, all specimens received and tested by the molecular PCR method at the National Reference Laboratory of MPhil demonstrated negative for Ebola and Marburg. The negative test result therefore rules out any of the indicated VHF infections in cell biological specimen. The MPhil urges the public to remain calm and continue to observe all of the health protocols. Already, the Ministry of Health and MPhil have taken proactive measures to prevent or curtail whatever suspected viral case there may be. I hope that will bring down some of the fears that were already amongst the population since this news broke unofficially. The government is continuing with its developmental drive. We were here the other day and we talked specifically about the interventions that are expected to be made in the infrastructure sector, mainly in road construction and bridges, amongst others. We will continue along those lines, but today in the energy sector. So we gave you some updates from what is happening at the Liberia Electricity Corporation. You are aware that we're building a 20-megawatt solar farm. It is still progressing, expected to be dedicated in December. November, sorry. And some of the things they've done, the steel erection and the solar panel installation are currently ongoing in keeping with the project time frame. And when that is commissioned, it will be the country's first solar farm by the World Bank. If you can record, President Walker broke grounds for the project in October of 2024. So basically, that 20 megawatt solar farm, the construction, everything due to damage. It is now undergoing repair by Sano Hydro and is expected to be restored in May 2026 with a generation capacity of 22 megawatts. 3, electricity expansion. The Liberia Electricity Sector Strengthening Access Project, Lot 1 and Lot 2. On that project, they are connecting 80 communities in Brove City, District number 17, and District number 1. And it will interest you to know that some of the 80 communities we're talking about, they've not seen electricity for 35 to 40 years. The project is currently about 80% complete, with customer metering ongoing, and street lights have already been connected along the major community roads in the areas mentioned. The project is expected to close by December 2025, after which phase 2 will commence to connect additional communities. The initiative is also funded by the World Bank. Rural electricity expansion under the CLSG project. The project involves a 3-kilometer stretch of transmission lines connecting 3 substations, both Total, Yekepa, and Buchanan. The target or goals of the project is to electrify 20 towns with 848 streetlights in Riverside County. 2, 31 towns with 836 streetlights in Grand Bassa County. 3, 30 towns with 800 streetlights in Bond County. And 4, 44 towns with 1,500 streetlights in Nimba County. Both Riverside and Grand Bassa County grids will be managed by the LEC Rural Electric Division. Recruitment has already commenced, with eligibility restricted to residents in those counties, meaning you're not taking somebody from Monrovia or other place to go there. Advertisements have been posted on the LEC website and social media platforms to that effect. The project is funded by the African Development Bank and is expected to close in December 2025. So the government's electricity program is not just targeting Monrovia, it's targeting the country as a whole. And we're making huge progress in bringing electricity to the people. The LPRC has been on ongoing serious transformation. In some cases, some of their transformative actions are leading to noise making by people who have survived on fundings that should have benefited the country, but have been benefiting individuals. What we've seen some of these individuals doing is to brag that they are the richest people in the country. They will discuss the kind of cars that they are buying and using, the boys and girls. They would knock their chest that they are using watches that are costing them $450,000. And you would name it. So the LPRC is doing great. They did their first direct importation in over 40 years. And that was about 10,000 metric tons of gasoline, which they call PMS, and 5,000 metric tons of agro, which is diesel. The strategic goal of this intervention is to guarantee nationwide availability and price stability. What are some of the benefits of direct importation? It ensures fuel security and reduce dependency on private importers. It enhances government oversight, and that leads to a certain level of transparency. Price control is stabilized at market rates, which ensures affordability. It maintains a dependable stock at the LPRC, which can be linked to strategic petroleum reserve. It strengthens LPRC's income base and additional revenue for the government of Liberia. So it has revenue generating implications as well. The LPRC pricing structure transformation, 2 new levies were introduced. 2 cents per gallon to support the government of Liberia's social program in health, in education, etc. 9 cents per gallon to fund the maintenance, to fund county equipment for feeder road construction. As you may all be aware, we are on the verge of bringing into the country 285 pieces of road equipment. We've indicated that part of the contract will train people who will be responsible for maintenance, but the maintenance will also have costs. And this is one of the sources of using money to benefit the country rather than just going into the pockets of individuals. The projected revenue from these actions, you will have 12 million per year from the 9 cent levy, and that amount can be structured in a way that each county can get 700,000 per year for all 15 counties. Direct benefits, it will help to fuel the graders, the bulldozers, the excavators, etc. It will help to finance feeder road rehabilitation. It will improve connectivity with schools, clinics, markets, and businesses. It will stimulate the agriculture sector because you have easy access to market and reduce transport costs. The outcome, you have sustainable domestically generated revenue for local development. And this is happening at the time foreign aid is taking a downward trend. Rehabilitation and expansion of the Ganta oil terminal is part of the strategic objective of this initiative. And the targeted areas will be Nimba, Bon, Lofa, southeastern counties, and parts of Guinea and Ivory Coast. The investment in that initiative will be around 7 to 8 million. And the key economic benefits will be enhanced regional supply security, reduce long-haul transportation dependency on Monrovia. It will help to create jobs during construction and operation. It will improve fuel availability and market efficiency, and it will support regional commerce and cross-border trade. Economic and environmental consideration. First, we want to look at the demand statistic. Nima County represents 40 to 45% of the total demand of petroleum products in the counties targeted. The combined annual demand in those places will be 3.44 million gallons. Environmental and community commitment. And this has to do with residential allocation and compensation plans. Compensation adjusted for size, material, and condition of the property. Transparent, respectful engagement with the affected household. Compliance with international safety and environmental standards. For the benefit of the community, it will improve infrastructure and services. It will enhance safety standard and environmental protection. The broader developmental impact of this initiative will include national integration that will strengthen the supply chain across Liberia and the neighboring countries. For agricultural growth, it will ensure reliable fuel, it will reduce post-harvest losses and transport challenges. For local economic stimulation, the construction phase generates short-term jobs, and operational phase will sustain long-term employment for citizens of that area. The LPRC demonstrates accountability, innovation, and service delivery, and that can lead to public trust. So the 35 cents that those who own storages were collecting just per gallon of fuel was determined that across the region, after some surveys and visitation, that was far the biggest that anybody were getting just to store petroleum product. In most of our neighboring countries, the cost was not even per gallon. In some cases, it was per metric ton, and far lower still. So it was determined that what is basically required to store petroleum products should be 5 cents per gallon. And if you imagine what can come to the country and just multiply even 5 cents across the millions of gallons that are coming here, you see how much money some people have been playing with. So the government thought to do some readjustment, which I announced earlier that 9 cents will go towards raising money to maintain our earth-moving equipment. The other 2 cents will be used to support social programs, whether it's in health, in education, etc. A portion will go to LPRC. LPRC is involved with ensuring that products that come to the country are lifted when the ship comes in. They've been doing so voluntarily. So some cost is sent to them. And after all these distribution, it's been determined and concluded that if you are involved in storage, what you get per gallon is 5 cents. Multiply that 5 cents by the quantity of petroleum product you store at your storage, you still get millions. And if you can still get millions with 5 cents, and you've been getting 35 cents per gallon, there's been a real-time robbery, denying the country of some of the benefits that are supposed to come from those interventions. Could they have been done earlier than this time? Yes. It didn't happen so people have feast. Is it a wrong thing that they are happening now? No. Because there's a common saying among ourselves that it is better late than never. Just imagine some of the projections that have been made. Let me go to that before I even close on this matter. Just on that 2 cent line, you'll be raising over 2 million. Monday, you spread over a period of time, you're talking about 12 or more million per annum. Do you know how much of intervention that can make in the social services sector? They will all go in one person's pocket. So you are journalists, you're following the discourse, you will hear people yelling and crying that they are targeting them. No one's been targeted. Don't celebrate people who feast and feed on what belongs to the entire country. The country needs resources to survive, and anything that is done to direct resources to benefit the people rather than individuals should be supported by all of you, especially members of the press, who are supposed to be the watchdogs of society. So we count on you to be patient in looking through what the actions are and what the benefits are, and tell the story, because it's you people look up to. Don't just allow crying people to get your sympathy and you just do promotional things for them. Look at the substance of the issue at hand. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning on today has commenced budget hearing for all ministries, agencies, and commissions within the executive branch of government. One thing the ministry have opted to do is they want to ensure that the passage of the budget is on time. Now we have a budgetary period that runs from January to December. So these kinds of approaches are meant to ensure that when you start in the budget year, the budget is already passed. In the past, sometimes we used to go 3 months in the budget year, and then you'll be approving 1/12 of the size of the previous budget to do government expenditure. The Ministry of Finance wants to change that. So the engagements have started so that they can submit the budget to the National Legislature in time. The hearings are intended to ensure alignment with ministries, agencies, and commission budgetary submission with national priority and the fiscal realities. They are critical continuation of the national budget process as they provide opportunity to discuss additional pressures and trade-offs. The hearings will address the following issues: projects or key activities lifted from the National Development Plan, which is the AARD, costing assumptions for projects including unit costing, how projects or key activities contribute to the achievement of the arrest agenda for inclusive development, in assessing the capacity of spending entities to execute key projects and plan intervention for sustainability. Following the hearing, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning will communicate to the spending entities the revised and final budgetary ceilings. Thereafter, the 2026 draft national budget will be submitted to the National Legislature before October 31st, 2025, in accordance with the Public Financial Management Law of Liberia. Rwanda and Liberia have signed 2 key memoranda of understanding to boost bilateral ties, including one on the establishment of a joint commission, permanent commission on cooperation, and a visa waiver agreement to facilitate travel between the 2 countries. The agreements were signed in Monrovia on Wednesday, September 10, by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Olivia Nuguguri, and the Liberian counterpart, Sarah Beslow Nyanti, Your Excellency. The Rwandan delegation is in Monrovia to deepen relations between Liberia and Rwanda. They will also cooperate in other areas to include security. The leadership of the Liberian National Police also met with the Rwandan delegation in a meeting focused on preparation for vetting exercises scheduled to take place today at the National Police Training Academy to identify 30 AMP officers for participation in an advanced tactical and special forces training in Kigali, Rwanda. The training, organized by the United Nations Institute for Training and Research in partnership with the Rwanda National Police, will cover commander-level courses, counter-terrorism operations, and regional security cooperation. The United Nations Institute for Training and Research is a dedicated training arm of the United Nations system. It provides training and capacity building activities to assist mainly developing countries. The training program is a fruit of Inspector General Gregory Coleman's visit to Rwanda in August of last year, when he met with the Inspector General of the Rwanda National Police, where they explored measures to strengthen cooperation in various policing disciplines and fight against transnational organized crimes. You can't tell the story and forget about yourself. So this weekend, the second edition of the Government Town Hall, Ala Kapakununu, Come Let's Talk It, will take place in Sanikwele, Nimba County. I'm sure Family is working with some of you who are supposed to travel along, because we're not sure that the entire press crew here can go. I don't know the details, but I want to believe something like that is taking place. Several sector ministers will be there to provide support for the town hall. This is a flagship program of the ministry that is meant to bring the government face to face with the citizens. You see, we're talking here, we're coming face to face with you members of the media. When we get on the radio station, we talk, the opportunity they have is to call. But when you take a program to them in a big hall, they are seated there, you're there, people present, they have the chance to ask questions. It's part of the better ways of communication, and MICAT thought to introduce that in her communication programming. The NIMA program is the second edition, and our hope is that this program will go all across the country in all of our counties. And finally, the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency is doing pre-commissioning inspection of 88 public health centers that are being enrolled in the solarization program, meaning we're putting electricity in health institutions based on solar energy. This key deliverable of increasing access to electricity of health centers across the country is in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, with funding made possible on the first phase of the Liberia Electricity Sector Strengthening and Access Project by the government of Liberia. a loan from the International Development Association of the World Bank, and part of it a grant from the government of Japan. The agency teams have been touring the country to confirm readiness of the facility to be handed over to the Ministry of Health. The impact of the solar project is now directly contributing to safe deliveries by certified midwives, since they no longer rely on torchlights or phone lights to carry out delivery or perform procedures under poor lighting conditions. So at this point, we'll stop here with our own briefing. Let me be sure that I'm not leaving out any major news. Okay, I'm leaving out one, which is very important. The Ministry of Education is moving forward with plans to place 2,307 volunteer teachers on the government of Liberia's payroll. These teachers, many of whom have served faithfully in some of Liberia's most remote and underserved communities, were verified in a nationwide vetting exercise earlier this year in partnership with the Civil Service Agency. The names were submitted between May 28 to June 26, 2025, and the onboarding process is now underway. This step is more than a policy. It is a recognition of the dedication and sacrifice of our volunteer teachers. Their services have kept classrooms open, inspired students, and strengthened entire communities. The Ministry of Education is assuring all the verified teachers that the ministry will complete the process with transparency, efficiency, and integrity. Having addressed the issues that we've talked about, it is now my pleasure to welcome the Commissioner General of the Liberia Revenue Authority, who will address this press conference. Commissioner Jallah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say, Minister, I am really very impressed. The last time I was in this hall was during the Ebola crisis. Yes, and it looked completely different from what it is right now. You know, as the chief tax collector, this is what gives us encouragement to want to raise more funds, because the small money that was given to you is being used exemplarily, you know, in a very meaningful way. And we see similar thing across the entire building.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to appear before the press here today to provide some updates on some of the things that have been happening at LRA in terms of what we've done for revenue generation so far. Let me start off by providing a historical context over the last 11 years. We're going back 11 years because that's how old LRA is. In 2014, the total revenue that was generated, domestic revenue I mean, was 463.8 million. That amount from 2014 has steadily grown until in 2023, the amount collected in domestic revenue was 612 million. In 2024, when this government came to power, the revenue jumped from 612 million to 699.7 million. A 14% jump in the domestic revenue collection by the LRA and other agencies of government that are responsible for collecting government revenue. This is very important and really very significant because last year our domestic revenue target was 690 million and we managed to raise about more than $9 million more than the target was. This year, in the 2025 budget, we are tasked to collect 804.6 million, representing a 15% increase in our target for this year. We are working on collecting that, and we'll be able to provide you some update on the numbers so far. But before I get in the details of the numbers, I just wanted to thank our very hardworking staff at LRA, both those that are in Monrovia and around the country that are working day and night to collect this revenue. We also want to express particular appreciation to all agencies of government that are responsible for revenue collection. There are many of them, so I wouldn't risk naming all of them for fear that if I forget somebody's name, my phone will start to buzz as soon as I leave this room. But there are many agencies that contribute to revenue generation, and the staff in those agencies have also worked assiduously to make sure that the good performance that we're seeing over the last year and that we've seen so far this year, is attained. This is really very important for Liberia's development because, as we all know, there is now a downward spiral in terms of foreign assistance that's coming into the country. Some of it is still coming. We're still doing projects here with the support of our donor partners, and we do appreciate that very highly. But it's high time we begin to double down on our revenue collection mechanisms to enhance domestic revenue so that we can increase those revenue to accelerate national development and the provision of basic social services. So we thank everyone who has contributed to that process. We also want to thank the Fourth Estate because the way we convey our information on revenue collection, as we are about to embark on some very ambitious activities, our information dissemination is done through the media, and you all have been really very supportive of that role, and we are grateful for the impact that we are creating together. Now, for this year, our target so far is 803 million, as I said, because the overall budget is 880.6 million. Of that amount, we expect to get 76 million from external resources, 76 million and change. So the domestic resource target is around 804 million. So year to date, that is as at September 8th, we were required to have collected of this 804 million, we were required to collect as at the 8th of September, 552.8 million. To date, as at September 8th, we have collected 562 million, 562.1 million, against 552 million target as at the 8th of September. So what that translates to is that we are actually doing more than 9 million more than our year-to-date target. And the 562 million that we've collected so far constitutes 70% of our collection target for the year. So what we have remaining for the rest of the year is 30% of the revenue that needs to be collected, and that translates to 242.48 million. So we are very well on target, not only to meet our target for this year, our $804 million target, but our expectation is that we are also going to exceed that. So we are once again very thankful. Now we've done a number of things at LRA that is enhancing our collection, despite the numerous challenges that we face. But today's meeting is not about highlighting the challenges, it's to tell you that in spite of the challenges, what we've been doing, the resilience of those who are doing the work, both in LRA and in other agencies, as well as yourselves. We have introduced electronic fiscal devices, and these are being deployed at different businesses. And it's important for you to help us convey to the public, because you will soon start to see the proliferation of those devices across the country. So what we've done, we're working with partners to bring in technology so that supermarkets and other vendors, when they do their business, as they're recording their transactions, LRA will be able to see those transactions in real time. The problem we've had with one of the problems we still have in our revenue collection system is that the period ends, and then the business people, the taxpayer, come and declare to us what is it that they made. So if they're supposed to file every quarter, they're supposed to file every 3 months, they will do their business for the 3 months, and on the due day in the 3rd month, they come and tell us, oh, for these 3 months, this is the amount we made. And on the basis of what they declare, then they pay their taxes. Unless we eventually do an audit after the period, there is no way we can know for a fact whether the amount they reported to the Revenue Authority is just and correct, and as such, whether the taxes they pay to the government are just and correct also. What the electronic fiscal devices will do for us is that we will be able to get real-time information on the businesses as they are transacting them. So before even you come to file to us, we already know. So if you made $1.5 million sales over the given period, you cannot come to tell LRA you made only 50,000, because LRA will already know. So we will be, we are in the process of deploying those devices. We're training people, and it's being rolled out. What we'll do eventually is to request the public to request you to work with us, so that when you buy something at any place, request for the receipt that is printed from the system. You know how you go to the supermarket, they check you out at the counter, there's a slip that comes out, a small slip. Sometimes people just ignore it. You know, but by taking that, you actually be ensuring that the revenue administration system works well, and that the taxes being declared by those businesses are legitimate. We are also implementing excise stamps. Excise stamps is for several reasons. It's on drinks, beverages, alcoholic, as well as non-alcoholic. That is a mechanism for both control and revenue generation. We have a situation where there's a lot of smuggling going on because our borders are really very porous. Also, there may be business people who might be making sales and not declaring the full amount. So by ensuring that those stickers are placed on the drinks, you know, before you buy them, then what you're essentially doing is helping LRA to make sure that we can curb the problem of smuggling, and also that we are getting, you know, the due amount for the government. So please help us again to convey to the public that when you go to buy a beer, even if you're in a nightclub and the person serves you the beer, look to see if the LRA stamp is on it. If the LRA stamp is not on it, then you should know that you who doing the purchase, you are being cheated, because then that drink is being sold and there's no guarantee that, you know, the requisite taxes on our sale are coming to government. Now, if we all work collaboratively and you help us to educate the public on these things, it will ensure that what is due the government can come to government, and that unscrupulous individuals are not shortchanging the government and putting those monies in their pocket. Another technology we are rolling out is in the digital payment sector. So the digital payment sector has to do with telecommunications, mobile money, gaming and gambling, sports betting, those kind of things. So as it is right now, the mobile operators, the GSM operators, again, they will come and self-declare. They will tell us an LTA, this is the amount we made for the period. Similar to what I explained to you about supermarkets and others. So similar to that device that we're implementing with those businesses, we're also doing so with the GSM and the operators. Okay, so we will deploy that technology within a system so that for each of us who are using their service, whether it's Orange or whether it's MTN, when you do tap up, you buy $5 scratch card and you put it on your phone, LRA will be able to know that they have made a sale of $5. When we deploy it for mobile money, when you do mobile money transfer and somebody go and cash out, there's a small fee that is collected. We will be able to know that fee in real time. So again, when they come to declare to us, even before they come, we know exactly what is the fee. The plan is we'll also roll out to the gaming and gambling sector. So when you go and your favorite teams are playing, you place a bet, the fees that are involved, government is supposed to get, taxes on those fees. And because we don't have visibility, we cannot be sure that the amounts they come and declare, are correct. So these technologies are going to help us to enhance revenue, bring about greater transparency, and then hopefully increase the revenue intake in those instances where people may have been under-declaring. When we roll out these three, we intend to expand to other digital payment services. Like for instance, there's a number of Liberians here now who are using services like Netflix. They stay here and they make those payments, but we don't know, we don't have a way right now to be able to collect. A lot of people have social media accounts. They are on TikTok. They can pay for their content to be prioritized. All those payments being made, the government of Liberia is entitled to get the taxes from those payments, but we're not getting them right now. So this technology is what we are rolling out to help us with that. To enhance transparency and make sure that we are working with the public, we are implementing and will soon launch a live dashboard. And we will plan a launch event where we invite all of you. This is really very important for you. I remember sometimes earlier this year, there was all this speculation that, LRA, there's budget shortfall, there's going to be this. What we've done to curb that, we are going to make available in real time our collection information so that there's a website where anybody can go to and see it. And daily, as we make the collection and enter into the system, you will actually be able to see it in real time. So that way it will be transparent. You don't have to wait for LRA to issue a press statement or to come here and be able to give you numbers about our performance. The system is already up and working. We're doing some final arrangement now to do the launch. And when we do the launch, we'll give you the URL that you can go to and be able to see what government collection is in real time as we're doing the collections. We have also launched a whistleblower platform, and I think some of you were there when we did that. This whistleblower platform is really intended to help us to work with you, for you to work with us and give us pertinent information that may be important for people who are indulging in activities that may not be in Liberia's best interest in terms of, concealing our taxes or otherwise, not paying proper taxes. So the whistleblower platform is there. I will encourage all of you who observe something that is not proper to please let us know, so that we can be able to take appropriate actions. We are also making improvements to our tax administration system. So people can now register, do their tax registration online. People can get their TIN online, the tax identification number online. You can get your tax bill online. You can pay your taxes online. You can calculate your personal income tax online. You can also calculate your real estate property taxes online. As a matter of fact, if you're following the news, the president just issued a directive requiring all public officials to pay the real estate taxes. This also extends to everybody in the media, in the public, for everyone to pay their taxes, and they have given a 30-day, a 60-day window where people are required to come and pay their taxes. A number of people from overseas have been sending me messages inquiring whether they can remain there and know their bills. The answer is yes. So we are about to get out with a mass information campaign to let people know exactly how they can do that. We have developed our corporate strategy for the next 5 years. We've also completed the domestic resource mobilization strategy, and that strategy supports the raising of the funds needed to implement our development agenda, the AAID. So that is costed for implementation at around $40 million annually, and we are working with our colleagues at the Ministry of Finance. We eventually engage the legislature to make sure that resources are provided for us to implement the domestic resource mobilization strategy. The other thing we are doing that I think the media should know about is that we are trying to ease the doing business, international trade. At the port, the throughput for containers to move has been a major developmental challenge for this country. So we are working to construct a destination inspection facility. The facility hopefully will go live by June of next year. It will be completed, it will be lined with scanners to scan containers so that we don't, as we're doing now, we're doing like 2 or 3, containers inspection per time. We'll have the capacity to do 30 containers per time, and we can do about 2 or 3 rounds per day. So we're talking around 100 containers per day that will be able to move. That will hopefully increase our throughput and facilitate international trade, and hopefully bring down the prices for doing business, especially with our importations. So we are working on that. Last year, we were able to get the VAT law passed, the value-added tax. The government is migrating from goods and services tax to value-added tax. In all of West Africa, Liberia is the only country that is still implementing value-added tax. Most of the rest of West Africa is already implementing value-added tax. So the legislature approved the law last year for us to do that migration. We're in the process of rolling that out. The expected implementation start date for the VAT to get into effect is January 1, 2027. Between now and that time, we are doing preparation work. We've been working with different stakeholders. We will engage with the media and other people because there's a role in our new tax framework for all of us to play. And we will be reaching out. We hope the public will know when we get to those different stakeholders to kindly work with us so that we can implement this rollout. Beginning June of next year, we will start the registration for this new tax regime. And as we're proceeding with it, we'll let everybody know. We are also working on improving our customs operation. As you know, custom is not only for collection of import duties, but it's also a part of the country's security apparatus, national security apparatus. We work with immigration to safeguard our borders. And we are working now to provide adequate capacity to our custom officers at the different ports to ensure that our borders are properly protected. This year, we are hoping to complete the firearms and certification, capacitation of customs, so that they can begin to carry firearm at those critical places around the country to enhance our border security. What we've also done, because you know they say he who comes with equity must come with clean hands. What we've done at LRA, since we are the ones collecting the revenue, we need to be able to demonstrate that at all times we're above board when it comes to integrity. In addition to the requirements of the Code of Conduct requiring public officials to declare their asset, in 2015, the board of LRA passed a resolution requiring every staff of LRA to declare their asset. It's not just those positions that are named in the National Code of Conduct. It is every staff. So we work with the staff and the LACC, and I'm happy to report to the public that every staff in LRA has fully declared their asset. This has made LRA the first agency of government in which all staff have declared their asset. This is really very important because it is the first step for ensuring that integrity is preserved among the officers that are collecting the money. In addition to revenue actions that we've taken, we are constrained to have to dismiss about 56 staff from LRA who were involved in grievous administrative misconduct. And this misconduct had to do with these staff falsifying hospital receipts in order to get medical reimbursements. An investigation was undertaken when the syndicate and the whole cartel was discovered in February. That investigation was very thorough. It concluded and found these individuals, as having committed grievous administrative misconduct. We also did an administrative review process for the entire investigation. Oh, the 46 staff who are supposed to be dismissed. Thank you for that. What did I say? 56. Okay, 46 is 46 staff. So we did a thorough due process as required by our policies in LRA, and that constituted a full investigation by our professional ethics department. Then the administration department set up an administrative review panel that reviewed the findings and also gave the accused person an opportunity to hear what the findings were. And after all those exercises were consummated, we are now applying the requirements in our disciplinary guide, which requires us to terminate our relationship with any staff who is involved in administrative misconduct. So effective this month, those staff will be handed their letters of termination and they will no longer be with the LRA. I need to clarify some things because there has been speculations around this. When the investigation started, our rule is that when you are caught in any kind of misconduct, depending on the magnitude, you are suspended for 1 month without pay. So all of them served the 1 month without pay. The intention is that the investigation will be completed within that 1 month. If the investigation is not completed in that 1 month, for the next subsequent 2 months, if the investigation is still not completed, the staff is entitled to 50% of their salary. And we're giving those 50% because it took much longer than 3 months. If after the first 3 months, first month of suspension without pay, next 2 months of suspension with half-month pay, if the investigation is still not completed, then our rules require that they get restored, their full salaries get restored. So after the 3rd month, each person's full salary was restored until this process could be completed. So even for last month, September, each of these 46 staff received their full salary. Because this dismissal action now is being taken finally before the 15th of September, they will not be entitled to their September salary because they would have been dismissed before the 15th. However, The Decent Work Act requires that if staff are being terminated and they have unused leave days, then we have to pay them for those unused leave days. So those checks have been prepared, and the checks will be issued to each of them when they return our ID cards and other assets that may have been in their position. So, Minister, once again, we want to thank you for this opportunity, and we look forward, if we can take questions.
Yeah, just take it.
Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Commissioner General. Just before you ask your questions, I wanted to be clear on how the 30 cents that has been taken from the 35 cents is being allocated. Remember, storage owners were receiving 35 cents per gallon of petroleum product. It has now been reduced to 5 cents. That's what they will get. What happened to the bottom 30 cents? It goes in the following area. The vessel that brings the petroleum product, they discharge, they take 8 cents. Support to the counties, all 15 counties, they take 9 cents. Testing, handling, takes 7 cents. The inspectorate will take 6 cents, and government social program will take 2 cents. If you add all together, it will be 30 cents. So the 30 cents has been removed from the people who were benefiting from that 35% storage. That's why it's going to be used for, and just 5 cents remain with them as storage fee. Thank you. You can now ask your questions.
Once again, I'm David K. I report for a relative in Liberia. My question goes to the Commissioner of the LRA.
Please speak louder.
My question goes to the Commissioner of the LRA. You spoke about LRA stamp being placed on drinks. I want to know, how would that stamp be? Will it be like something like paper where you go, where anyone can remove at any time, or it will be a schema like what is on your ID, where you go to the machine, as soon as you request for the drinks, take it to the machine and scan it and know if it's a LRA stamp on it, or it will be a paper where anyone can remove at any time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner Jallah, for coming. And in this public manner, I'd like to say thank you so much for always demonstrating Pan-Africanism by, always wearing your African. So anytime, always wearing. Thank you. And quickly to Minister Piah.
Who are you?
My name is Strokan Flammer and I work for DN News. Thank you. Quickly to Minister Piah, the debate about this.
So only the man clothes you talking about, you get a question for him?
I am coming to him.
No, you ask only one question.
We have two speakers.
I will start with the man first.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Jallah. Recently, there were reports that the government of Liberia, has levied taxes for religious institutions like the churches and the mosques, and traditional leaders to pay taxes, and later on the MICAT issued a statement and debunked that there are no such information existed in the public. But as the chief tax collector for the country, do you share the opinion of many Liberians who are saying that since you are sourcing new areas of collecting taxes, there's a need for these religious institutions to pay some small money to government, at least to help those who to be able to provide some of the basic social services to those who go to the churches and mosques and all of that, because there are bigger churches and religious institutions are making huge money every time, worship time, all of that. And whether you share that same opinion with those Liberians who wanting for churches to pay taxes and all of that. And Minister Piah, the debate about the storage, it is not about what we've been following. Opposition leaders and independent analysts are concerned about.
Opposition leaders doing storage business?
Independent analysts.
Oh,
okay. So their concern is the LPRC is a player, going to be a player, and at the same time a referee in the sector. And you did not clarify who will be handling the regulatory arm of storage or the petroleum sector, and at the same time regulating those who will be levying taxes and all of that. You did not draw any information with that.
Fees are not taxes.
Fees.
You want to know that.
Fees.
Please go straight to your question.
Thank you. My name is Desmond William, and I report for Democracy Watch newspaper. Thanks so kindly to the Director General of the Liberia, Commissioner General. Thanks for the correction of the Liberia Authority. My question is basically to what you concluded upon that has to do with over 45 employees of the LRA, 46 precisely that are about to be ransacked. There's been this allegation about 2024, in the year of 2024, the employees have insurance that was already budgeted under the fiscal budget year of 2024 to all employees of the LRA, thereby in making sure that these employees have access to health insurance as required under the Decent Work Act, as required under the law. So I'm inclined to know, based on my source, that identical year 2024, that year the insurance health benefits of these employees were not met. Despite the budget being allotted within the confines of the LRA, but the money was not provided for the services as intended for, and therefore LRA has instructed, as alleged, those employees to go to do whatever medical services and come with a receipt. Based upon the receipt, LRA will do reimbursement. Now, there comes my question. Having given the,
be a little bit fast. See the long down.
Yeah, having given the instruction to the employees to go and do that and stuff, and then you come back with reimbursement, and you have developed the fact that those people have come up with fraudulent health documents only because they want to get the money from LRA. So, what prompted or what has been the primary factor for the LRA not conducting or not applying the insurance health benefits for the employees after the budget being approved? And second to that, I'm also inclined to know that these aggrieved workers are with the Ministry of Labor, and there is a pending conference with the senior management of the LRA. LRA has come up with a decision to dance out around the 15th of September. What happens in an event? Ministry of Labor says, look, retain on the job. Will LRA reconsider its decision?
Thank you. My name is Mokolo. I report for Inside Liberia, and I will say thank you to my colleague for coming despite the meeting with what. Let me quickly ask Mr. Piah first. Mr. Piah, listening to you talk about the initiative of the government when it comes to the electricity project. That's a good thing. But one of the key things that you mentioned was that no one would be allowed to be taken from one county to another. That wouldn't be good. You from your county, you should work there. But my concern, or the concern of the public, is that what measure that will be put in place to regulate those leaders, as you may be aware that people work with people they are comfortable working with. So what is the measure? that are going to be used to regulate that, which you said. Lastly, to the LRA, I heard you mentioning, or better still complaining, about some sophistication that you need in order to carry on their job. And if you are not yet getting such sophistication, there are some business people who cheating some Liberians in the government in general. So should we wait until you get that sophistication in order to do the work of the government? Thank you.
My name is Joseph Salim, and I report for Liberia. My first question goes to the LRA, but the government of Liberia banned the use of shisha in our country. I want to know what are some of those measures the LRA has put into place to ensure that we minimize the black market, because we ban these things, people will use our weak products to bring in these t-shirts and put it on our market. What are some of those regulations or mechanisms you have put in place to ensure that custom officers can regulate that product? And lastly, you spoke about increasing our budget.
One question.
Yes.
One question.
You already asked me a question. Who the second question?
Just be
No.
Okay.
Look behind you. It's almost two.
Okay, Mr. Piah. Mr. Piah.
Let's take a question, maybe, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So good afternoon. My name is Sampan Fakiman from Crown FM, and my question here goes to the LRA boss. Sir, I want to know, with these 46 employees being displaced, what similar prevention is the LRA putting in place to prevent occurrence of this situation? Thank you.
So thank you so much, the operating director. You talk about dismissing few employees from LRA, and the issue of the reimbursement scheme is something that we have received information from that you guys instructed those staff to visit various hospitals and health centers and bring their received from there, and you guys will reimburse. Now, if that reimbursement scheme is something that was done legally, unfortunately, if there was a legal department of LRA consulted in, was the information about bringing received back to the was it properly communicated to staff? Because some staff are accusing you specifically that that scheme was created so that you can take some of them out to bring in your own people.
I'm Darren Stillman, book from Function Services in Radio. I was looking at task engagement. What are programs are put in place to improve task compliance among the citizens?
Good afternoon, I'm Larry STP, a Liberian journalist. My question goes to Commissioner Jallah. I want to know what step will you take? What will you do next if you found out that there are some businesses who are violating? Like, for example, you're talking about putting into place some sophistication. So what happens if you found out that every transaction that is done for a particular business person is captured in your database, and the person is still not transparent, calling the actual figure to you? What do you do next? Thank you.
So the name is Prince Super from Spotlight Africa. I think it has been over a year now since we last heard from the LRA in regard to a vetting process that was carried out, that was rolled out for at least 96% for a person to occupy the position of the domestic tax commissioner. How far is the process? Because it has been a year and I'm not heard anything. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Olia Phillips. I have a question for the Director General. I write for the New Liberian newspaper. Commissioner General, sorry. Thank you for that information. Oh, Commissioner General, recently the General Auditing Commission came up with the findings according of the government consolidated account from January 1 to December 31st, 2024. The key among those fundings, the GSC said the LRA did not expand its revenue collection somewhere like the Asikura or the data to rural collectors. And because of that, the major gap in revenue collection for the year 2023 up to 2024. They also said that the lack of manpower for rural collectors in places like Home and Nima County, and because of that, government also losing sufficient revenue generation. The question is, why didn't you send those issues about Asikuda, that some equipment to rural area in Nima or Brown County to collect government tax? Or do you lack manpower to send in rural area? And lastly to that, the president just said that government officials should do their property tax payment from that person and forward. When do we see that process start with you? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Armstrong Cooper. We work for ELPC. A couple of months ago, there was a press conference at the Liberia Revenue Authority where the Commissioner General stated that there were some government institutions that, were such as NAFA and LPRC, they were not in compliance with money was supposed to pay out the LRA. I want to know how far with that process in terms of these entities meeting their obligations. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are the questions.
Thank you. Thank you for these questions. Please forgive my oversight. I forgot to introduce my team. So I'm here with my colleagues from LRA. Guys, I'm really sorry I didn't introduce you earlier. So Gabriel Montgomery is my principal deputy. He's the Deputy Commissioner General for Technical Affairs. And Samuel Bennett is the Deputy Commissioner General for Administrative Affairs. Sumo Kalapli is the Assistant Commissioner for the Professional Ethics Division. So he is our lead investigator. And Assistant Commissioner Chupi Hao is the Assistant Commissioner for Human Resources. And of course, Manager Kahine Singbe is one of you. He is the one who heads our communication department. Okay, let's now go to the questions. The nature of the excise stamp. So what we currently have is the one that goes on the drinks is actually a paper stamp. So it's glue on the top of the drink. So when you buy the bottle, you will see it there. The glue is strong. You actually have to make an effort to remove it. Or maybe when you open the cap, then it breaks the receipt in two. So it's not something that can easily drop off. So please make sure you check. But if you go say to buy a crate of beer, and they serve you a crate that the stamps now on it, just ask the guy that you can take this one, you want another one, because you want to make sure that the money you pay, that the government gets its fair share of the taxes on that money. Okay, the second question was on my opinion as to whether I think religious institutions should pay taxes. My answer is no. I don't think so. I don't think religious institutions and charities should pay those taxes that they're exempted for. Okay? So, because they're already providing services on behalf of the government to the people. If you take church institutions, for instance, that organize schools, so the activities of providing education for the citizenry is actually a responsibility of the government. So they're filling in a governmental service role. So what they collect from those the fees and other things that they collect is actually intended to be used for charitable work. So they are generating funds to continue the work, perpetuate the work that they're doing. So I think it's laudable, and I think the way the system looks like, it should remain. Okay, let them continue to remain exempt. The only thing is that let's make sure that the monies they're collecting, they're actually using it for charitable work. When you deviate from using the monies you collect for charitable work and start to use it for other kinds of activities that are not charitable, then yes, on those ones, you're required to pay taxes. I think the question on LPRC was for you, Minister, so I will reserve that. Okay, now the question of the health insurance and whether there is a pending conference with the Ministry of Labor. I'm not aware that the Ministry of Labor wants to meet with me on this subject. As a matter of fact, he and I were in a meeting just on this past, I think it was on Monday. This past Monday, we're in a meeting together and he didn't mention anything to me. I've received no communication from him whatsoever. But of course, I'm ready and willing to talk to the Ministry of Labor if he has any concerns, you know. But until then, our action will remain in effect. And if the ministry wants us to reconsider, so long the basis is within our policy or is allowed in our rules, then we'll give it that consideration. But we've actually done a lot of internal searches. This has been a big debated issue even within the LRA itself. We have looked everywhere in our rules, in our policies, in the Decent Work Act, and we can see how, you know, we cannot proceed with this action without incriminating ourselves. So that's why we will continue to stay on this until, if the Minister of Labor calls us, then we will of course attend to his call. And the question about whether we should wait until LRA gets a sophistication, the answer is no, we're not waiting. Okay, the taxes we reported to you that we're collecting and the overperformance we're doing, we are still collecting the taxes. We're not saying wait until the businesses get those devices before you go buy from them. No. What we're telling you is that even though we are collecting the money, but that may not be all the money that we're supposed to collect, because we are relying on these businesses to come and tell us that, oh, you know, over these last 3 months, this is what I made. And ladies and gentlemen of the media, we are all people. I mean, let's take a typical business person or a typical individual. If you're supposed to come pay taxes on an amount, are you likely to declare the exact amount that you really made? The likelihood is no, because every time we institute an audit, the audit finds that they were under declaration. So that is the problem that we are trying to solve. And the way to solve that problem is, in this age of technology, there are now technologies that we can use to curb the problem. But while we are solving the problem, while we are ruling it out, we're not stopping to collect the revenue. Even if they are under declaring and we'll continue to get that until we can implement. And where we think that the risk is high in terms of how much we are foregoing from the under declaration, then we institute a measure to audit that taxpayer. Now, the next question was on measures to ensure that shisha is not smuggled. Smuggling is an age-old problem that we have. And in order for us to counter the smuggling, that's why we explained to you about the excise stamps on the drinks. We also have vigilance. I didn't speak about all of those things with our custom. That's what we want to make sure that we certificate them and they are able to protect. So when I spoke to you earlier about custom being able to get empowered to provide protection along with immigration at the border, it is about all these things. But guess what? Just think about our border from Mendekoma all the way to Hapo. There are certain places that are main crossing points. Those places, in some of those places, we are present. Immigration is present. But imagine the rest of the places. Because of the way our borders are established. I mean, I come from Lofa. In a part of Lofa, I come from, it borders Guinea. And where my family used to make farm is on the boundary, on the edge of the Makona River. There's a river in northwestern Lofa County that separates Guinea from Liberia. Along the Makona River, Liberia is on the south side, Guinea is on the north side. But when that river gets dry, you can actually walk across the river. From the farm, you can walk across the river. In fact, when we were kids, because we have relationships across the border, our cousins' parents, when the food is ready, they will shout and we'll cross the river. We'll go eat their food. When our parents finish cooking, they will cross the river. Imagine our actually a major challenge. Well, that's why we have the whistleblower website I was telling you about that we launched. When you discover these kind of things as a member of the public and a good citizen, go there and blow the whistle. Then you give us the information now that we need to. Yeah, 5, right? Yeah. So and since I've been at LRA, I've actually paid that money to some people who have blown whistle and will pay the money. But the thing with whistleblowing is first you have to protect the identity of the whistleblower. So this is not something we'll have a big media affairs and say, can you have to check it? Because when we do that, then we finish telling people who told us the information. And we can't do that. We have to protect the whistleblower, please. So, blow the whistle. Anytime you get valid information, we recover revenue from it, you are assured of getting 5%. Okay. So the next question was on the mechanism that LRA is instituting to prevent a recurrence of this dismissal of these many people. Those mechanisms are already in place. LRA is one agency where the internal policies are clearly defined. We have a human resource management policy. We have a code of conduct. In addition to the national code of conduct, we have an internal code of conduct that goes over and above the national one. We have a disciplinary guide. So, and these are things that staff sign off on. Even me, when I got appointed and confirmed, when I arrived at LRA, the HR head and her team made sure that I signed off on those documents. So everybody in LRA has signed off on it. Also, when I took over, I actually had a meeting with the staff. Now look, this is time now, let's work for our country. Let's avoid the pitfalls and the temptation and be able to do these things. So we continue to have town halls and we draw people's attention to it. Unfortunately, these things, apparently because we're humans, they will always happen. But the mechanisms are already in place to make sure that these things don't happen. And we hope that this can be a deterrent, for these 46 people who are being dismissed. It can be a deterrent for others not to do the same. And the other question was whether we consulted with legal and whether the information was widely circulated to staff. The answer is yes. Yes. Legal was consulted when the decision was made. Okay? But before I go to that, let me give you the context. Because somebody asked about the money being budgeted and that the information they got is that the LRA did not provide the money to them. Here is what actually happened. If you recall, when this government took over, a budget had already been submitted to the legislature by the previous administration. One of the actions that this new government took was to record our budget from the legislature, work on it, and resubmit it. The budget was not approved until around May of last year. After the budget got approved, that's when we started the procurement process for the health insurance contract. When we did the process, towards the end of the process, a major insurance provider filed a complaint. When we looked into the complaint, it gave rise for us to have to cancel the original process and we had to restart the process. And because it was taking too long, already we were around August, September of last year. From January to that time, staff had not been able to benefit from health insurance. So staff were complaining that they were getting sick, their dependents were getting sick, and the procurement process was taking long. And now we can go in a war contract without going through the procurement process. Because that was taking long, the senior management team met and decided that, look, let's give relief to the staff. Since the previous health insurance contract benefit level was $75 per visit for the staff and the 3 dependents, let's give that same benefit level to people. We didn't have authorization under the law to give that money to any particular insurance company because the procurement process was still on course. So to provide relief to the staff, we authorized staff to go to hospital, take their children and their dependent to hospital, and then when you expend the money, whatever you spend up to $75, you bring a receipt and we'll reimburse you that amount until the procurement process can get completed. So this was taking actually in the exercise of humane leadership. Because the interest of the staff, their well-being, considering the critical work that they're doing for this country is really very important. And it's true, the money was approved in the budget, but we can't get our money to insurance company until we complete the procurement process. But the sickness now waiting for people's children to get sick because of procurement process. So we say, okay, go to the hospital, get a receipt for the payment that you made, bring it back, and we'll reimburse you. So people started. There were people who were sincere. My deputy for administration circulated the information to the staff. We have a group chat, a WhatsApp group chat that everybody is on. It was posted in our WhatsApp group chat. And people started to use it, but then a few people decided to be clever. They saw now that this is a back door. That look, you can go, and get this receipt, in not proper, you come back, and because we were paying $75 per person, and each staff is entitled to 3 dependents, it means that 4 persons altogether. So they will go and falsify 4 receipts, $75, $75, $75, $75, $300 in all. But that's not all. They will wait after 2 weeks, then the whole family will get sick again. The first time, if they went to, they brought JFK fake receipt, they will wait 2 weeks later, they will bring fake receipt from ERWA. This is going on, we're not observing, we keep reimbursing people. They're coming with reimbursing. Until in February now, early February, I was about to sign another reimbursement voucher. But when I look at the names on the list, I remember that the previous one I had just done a couple of days prior had the same names. So I told finance, bring the previous voucher. They brought the previous voucher, the exact same name. I said, okay, bring the voucher before that one. They brought it, we see the repetition. So that's when I instituted an investigation by the Professional Ethics Division, and then we went on now to discover some of the things that came up. The receipts were not being falsified in the hospitals. No, they were being manufactured in LRA. Because we took sample of the JFK receipt when we discovered it. I took pictures of them and sent it to the doctor at JFK on WhatsApp and said, Doc, can you please confirm the veracity of these receipts? She said, okay, I'm coming back. In less than 20 minutes, she called me back. She said, Double, none of those receipts are from JFK. Then, in fact, she took the actual receipt picture and sent it to me and said, here is the receipt we're doing. She said, not only that, we look into our records, the dates indicated on those receipts and the names indicated on those receipts, none of those people ever came for treatment at this hospital. So we decided in the investigation process, we wrote them formally and they wrote back. We did the same thing with ERWA Hospital. They wrote back the same thing. The receipts were not from there. ERWA also sent the actual receipt photo and it was totally different. We wrote Hope for Women. Again, the same thing. Okay, so what the investigation was able to unearth, there was a staff in LRA who used to falsify the receipts. He would falsify the receipt for $20 US for one receipt. So it was like a business. You go to him with your name, he falsified the receipt, you gave him $20. Then you take the receipt for $75 reimbursement. So when you succeed in getting the reimbursement, you make $55 profit. So this is what we discovered. And during the investigation, every one of them admitted to doing it. And then they tried to use arguments that, oh, but the insurance money was there. Yeah, that's true. Because the insurance money was there, that's what you would say, go get a receipt, you come back, we'll reimburse you until we can consummate the procurement process to get the contract in place, and then we can have the service restored. And as soon as we concluded our process, we stopped issuing, we stopped reimbursing, and then the insurance services took over. Now, so in terms of whether legal was consulted, the answer is yes. The style of leadership we have at LRA is completely consulting. It's consultative. So we call a leadership meeting. That's what you see when I was coming here. I asked the pertinent leaders to join me here, because this is not just a unilateral decision. And it's not really a decision of the management team. This is actually what's spelled out in the rules. I didn't make the rules. This is my second year in LRA. These rules have existed from time immemorial. The rule says that if you indulge in this kind of wrongdoing, is defined as grievous administrative misconduct. In the disciplinary guide, you know, the disciplinary guide is our policy document that shows what kind of punishment the staff should get for doing wrong. So I, as CG, I don't just have the freedom that, oh, because they meant bread, and let bread people go do wrong. No, I have to go in a disciplinary guide. After he's been investigated and found guilty of the thing, then HR will look in the disciplinary guide, and what the disciplinary guide says is what you will do. So we have stages. For some wrongdoing, they say that for the first offense, you do verbal warning. For another offense, you do written warning. Somewhere A, you can do written warning multiple times. Somewhere A, you do suspension. Then the most severe punishment is dismissal. In the case of grievous administrative misconduct, as in the case of 46 people, the rule says dismissal. There's no intermediary step in between. So some of the people involved came to me to beg me, please have consideration on us. I said, okay, I as CG, if I say having consideration on you, where is the reliance in the rule? The rule say, LRA rule say, when you do that kind of wrong, this is the action you should take. If I go and ignore that rule and start doing my own thing, then I'm making your trouble into my trouble, or anybody in the leadership for that matter. So I hope this, has provided some clarification on what really transpired there. Now, and here's the bigger issue on this whole thing. If you are working in LRA, and LRA is so crucial because all of us in LRA are exposed to a lot of vulnerabilities because we are the ones collecting the money for the government. And you can go and indulge in falsifying receipt for $75. So suppose your role puts you in a situation where you got to make decision on $100,000 for a government Liberia tax. What do you think will happen? Exactly. So that's why the rules were made the way they were made, and we have to implement the rules. It's actually regrettable for the length of time they've been away from work. It's posed a lot of strain on our other colleagues who have had to step up. So it is really quite strenuous. But we couldn't hire new people until we reached to this stage. We have to get in due process. Due process takes time. That's why it's taking this long, because we wanted to be fair to everybody and make sure that we don't unnecessarily violate anybody's rights. That's why, in fact, they did what they did. But because the Decent Work Act requires that for their unused leave days, we have to pay them. We are going to pay them for the unused leave days, So, but the only thing is that because the rule says they have to go, it means that we can change the rules at this stage because we don't even have the authority to change the rule. So, the 10th question was, what are we doing to enhance tax compliance among citizens? Now, what we are doing is part of what we are here doing is part of that, because we are about to roll out a mass information dissemination campaign, and this is where, when you remember in my opening, I was telling all of you thank you, because you've really been a strategic partner in that direction. You've been involved with us, and you are the ones who have the wherewithal to be able to inform the public. So that's why every time we have anything happening, we'll call you guys together for us to tell you about it, so you can help us to be able to ensure that it is disseminated. Again, we will have to work with you. You're going to be our major partner, as you have always been, so that we can continue to disseminate this information. Now, the 11th question was, what if we put all the technologies in place, but still there are people who are under-declaring? Now, the law is very clear. For under-declaration, there are penalties. There are penalties and fines. And since I took over, I'll give you an example. In 2025 budget, the target for penalties and fines is, I think, around 600,000. So for the whole year, we estimated that we will collect 600,000 in penalties and interest for these same kind of violations. To date, as of July 31st, we have collected more than 6 million in penalties and interest. To show to you that we are really very vigilant, in enforcing these penalties and interest. You can't expect, to try to cheat Liberia, for lack of a better word. Then if we catch you, then you say, I beg you, please, I would say, no, we can't do that one. If you have an issue, you can come to us. There are in ways we can do stipulation and other things, but not to compromise on those. So we intend to continue to enforce the penalties and interest that is required under the law, on those taxpayers who consistently and insistently are indulged in under declaration. The 12th question was on the status of the recruitment of the domestic tax commissioner. This is a question I've gotten a number of times since that process started. But what our act says is that the Commissioner General and the 2 Deputy Commissioner Generals are appointed by the President. The commissioners, because the next level in LRA below the Deputy Commissioner General level are commissioners. Those ones are appointed by the Board of Directors of LRA after a competitive process. So my role as CG was to conduct the competitive process. Then the report of that competitive process is then compiled. We get a professional ethics division, go and do the due diligence on them, check their background, everything, and we prepare that report. So the reason it's taking this long is because the board was just recently confirmed. We could not effect the action without the board. So the board has met, they have had a second meeting, and in a second sitting, they have now passed a resolution, to select one of those candidates from the process to be the commissioner for domestic tax. But because they're still signing off on that resolution, when they get through signing it off, then we'll publish who the person is, bring about a press release, and let everybody know. So this is something that have been, difficult for me myself, because we need a commissioner for domestic tax to be in place. That is our largest, revenue generation department. So it's good that we clear that. It's a governance issue. But fortunately, the decision has finally been made on September 2nd. So the board members now are in the process of signing the resolution, and will soon issue a press release announcing the name to everybody. Okay. The 13th question was on the findings in the GSC report, that because of the limited rollout of our automated system, the LITAS and Asakuda, as well as because of understaffing, it is costing us a lot of money. The answer to that are yes. I fully agree with the Auditor General. As a matter of fact, as I was walking in here with the minister, I was telling the minister that we are actually losing a lot of money because LRA is not adequately resourced. I didn't mean for this to be a press conference where I start to lay out all my challenges. Like I said before, that's a conversation for a different time. But some of our borders, whoever asked this question was really on point. Some of our borders, we have only 2 people, and these are remote places. So imagine we have 2 people in our place there. One person gets sick, and the other person has to attend to some kind of urgent call. It means the place becomes empty. Until just about a few weeks ago, we had only 1 collector in Bong County, all of Bong County. So when that person leaves from there and comes to Monrovia, the tax office is closed in Monrovia. In Sino, we started getting complaints of the exact same thing, because we have only 1 collector in Greenville. So when he leaves and comes to town, there's nobody there. The reason for that is that we are severely understaffed. We are severely understaffed. And we've been saying that over and again. So this year, we are making a case to the government to invest in LRA. And the argument we are making is that, look, next year, the estimate for the 2026 budget is coming to around 800-something million for domestic resource. What we're telling the government is that we need additional $20 million of funding. If you give us that $20 million, we will give you, over and above what you project for next year, we'll give you additional $200 million. And we will cross $1 billion next year if we are giving the support. Because exactly as the person who asked the question observed, and I was observed in the GSC report, if we don't have the resources to deploy the manpower in those places, then we are losing money. Trade, cross-border trade has gone up significantly. Bowater side, for instance, is gone through the roof. Lugato has gone through the roof. Toasttown, they're doing very well there. Harper, they're doing well. So these are places we really need to deploy technology and other things like scanners. We need scanners at Lugato and Bowater side today as we speak. But we don't have the resources. we also need the adequate manpower, and not just the people in the field that the GSC observe. You remember I told you earlier that people will come and declare on their own, and what they declare is what they pay, you know. The likelihood is that many people will not be declaring correctly. For us to know what was the actual amount, we have to conduct an audit. In the back office function, audit is one of those things we call back office function. We are severely limited. So there are many businesses that have gone years without being audited because of the limited number of people that we have. So when you hear me saying to the public that we can easily cross 1 billion, it's against the fact that if I'm properly resourced, if LRA is properly resourced, as well as the other revenue collection agencies, we can be able to close all of these leakages that are in the revenue administration system, and then all those monies can be collected, and hopefully we can cross this one, elusive $1 billion threshold, and we can generate more money that is needed for the government to be able to do more infrastructure development as well as provide social services to its citizens. Additionally, the presidential mandate on real estate, yes. So we are rolling that out now. In fact, people have started going to LRA to pay their taxes. Some people, like I said, people are calling me from the US, because of this presidential mandate, and people are asking for their bills. So we're beginning to see movements on it now. We are setting up a station. Hopefully by Monday, we'll have an additional station at the ministerial complex as well as LRA. And then we'll include mass education to tell people that you don't even have to leave the comfort of your living room. You can remain home and go online and make your payment. We are hoping that the mass education that you help us to create will encourage a lot of people to use the online platform so as to avoid the congestion. But we'll be doing it at both ministerial complex and at LRA as well as online. On the question of non-remittance by some SOEs, the question is true. I have reported that apart from maritime, which has been doing very well, the other SOEs have not been doing well with their contributions at all. So last year in the budget, the legislature had empowered us to garnish the accounts of the SOE. And we actually started the code process. We went ahead to garnish the account. But then when we filed the paperwork, we needed to appear in court. It turns out that the agencies we are suing, because they are government agencies, need to be represented by Ministry of Justice. We who are suing them, because we are a government agency, we need to be represented by Ministry of Justice. So it became an issue of conflict for Ministry of Justice, because you can be, representing the prosecutor and then you're representing the defense at the same time. So the minister had to call us together to see whether we can work out something. When we worked that out, NPA was able to make additional payment, but the other agencies never really made any significant payment. This year also is the same experience we are getting. In fact, that's part of the reason why LPRC now has said that for the storage tank fee, the disaggregation that you heard the minister talking about, the 2 cents that they are earmarking for social contribution, that will now be how they will pay the annual budgetary support. So instead of waiting for them to collect it and remit it, LRA will be collecting it. So as people purchase fuel, we take that money and we report it appropriately. So that way it becomes efficient. The vice president has been leading on, getting this one done. The next group is we're going to go to NPA and sit down with NPA and see if we can work something out. So that way we find an item of fee that they are collecting. Instead of waiting for them to collect it and pay to the consolidated account, we will go in and collect that particular fee. Then we're not waiting for them. So we hope that this can be an ingenious way to require them to do compliance. In the end, everybody gets to contribute, and then the development is done, the social services are provided, and all of Liberia benefit. Thank you. I left on your arm? No, that's it. Okay.
The folks who are doing the recruitment for the energy program in the county have said they will make sure the staffing come from the county. And you ask me where on the side for announcement, you say, how you will enforce it? They say that where we come from. They encouraging people from the county to apply. You apply, you come from the county, you get the job, that's it. Why else you want to know, you asking me how we enforce it? Your PRC is playing the role that it was established to play. If there's anyone with the belief that LPRC is doing something that is unlawful, they know where to go. I hope that answers your question.
Many thanks to our distinguished speaker, the team from LRA, the Commissioner General, very detailed, and I show all your questions were properly answered. That being said, we'll post for photograph. And we'll look forward to seeing you in Nima County.
So that's it for today's press briefing here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. So the MICAT press briefing was addressed by Honorable Jallah Piah, Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. Mr. Piah spoke on national issues with emphasis on governing ongoing policy and programs. While also here today was Honorable James Jallah, Commissioner General of the Liberia Revenue Authority (LRA). Commissioner Jallah provided updates on the authority progress and reforms with focus on the following prohibited areas: revenue collections and performance, latest trendings, achievements, and milestone. He spoke on the digital transformation, leveraging technology to enhance efficiency and service delivery. Automation at border put ongoing efforts to modernize custom operations and strengthen compliance, revenue expansion, and sustainable approaches to achieving multi-billionaire dollars target. So once again, for those of you who have been following, I'd like to say thanks for following. Do join on next Tuesday for another edition of MICAT press briefing. Until then, bye from my end.